Hello and welcome to another update video about Natgas. So Natgas follows the, let's say, the primary count further, and we are heading further down. As you know, my view is quite bearish about Natgas. We've been talking about the continuation here and further sell-offs now for many months actually, and we have now actually reached that larger support area, which is based on two Fibonacci retracements based on the larger cycle here. Let's just open that again, because if we draw the fibs from the beginning of that wave 1 to the high, and then we can see that these are based on the 78.6 and the 88.7% fib levels between 238 and 319. So that's sort of where we are now, and this is a highly interesting area because you would expect some kind of buying pressure from this area in general. But yeah, we had this descending wedge on the chart in the last few videos, but and then we had the question, you know, is this wave 4 to the upside already starting? I mentioned very clearly to you that yes, the downtrend seems to be slowing down and we see a bullish divergence on various indicators. However, until we break out of this pattern to the upside, there is no guarantee that this wave 4 has started, and especially as, I mentioned that a breakout of the pattern would be a very first signal, but really what you need is a breakout above the previous high. Then you have some kind of a signal that the wave 4 has started. At the moment, very clearly, the wave 4 hasn't started yet, and I also would say that even now, yeah, all we're doing at the moment is we've dropped into that level. Maybe we see a bit of a reaction now, but it at the moment could just be that we are retesting this trend line from below. So that's now not enough of a signal, and certainly at the moment we cannot say with confidence that the wave 4 has started. So we need to be focusing further on the downside, and with that it is certainly following our higher level scenario, which is still further downside. It was only like a week ago or 2 weeks ago, maybe also 3 weeks ago, when I talked to you about we could still see another 50% drop in Natgas, that I am short-term very bearish on Natgas. We are still watching for a possible start of a wave 4, but we never really had a signal. The only signal that we had, but also here we didn't make a higher high, was when we broke out of this descending trend line. But then I mentioned to you that we need to wait for the support to make a higher low, but it never did that. So also that was not a very valid signal, because with Elliott wave you need a 5-wave move on a smaller time frame to the upside, 3 waves down, basically a higher low, at least to have an initial indication that a trend is changing. Obviously it's never done that, so the trend is following further to the downside. What are the next key support levels that we can watch out for? Well, I think I mentioned it in the previous video that should we drop out of the wedge to the downside, we can take the 1.618 extension as the next possible target. That is at $2.80. Bear in mind, I'm looking at the spot market here. I'm not looking at the futures. Let me know maybe in the comments if you want me to look at the futures market in the future, because it might be that more people are actually trading futures. So logically, let me know, because prices differ a little bit, so I might have to take that into account. And also the chart history is longer, but certainly still, you know, the charts move in very similar ways, so you can basically use the same tools and trends. It's just that prices are slightly different between futures and spot, same as it is with gold and silver as well, and other markets. Now, the further we come down here, I have to say that as well, and that would not necessarily be the case if we come to that 1.618 extension now, but if we drop even lower without putting that wave 4 in, at some point we may have to consider that the wave 4 might be in already somewhere here, and that we are finishing the C wave straight away. But I can't see that imminently. Imminently, I'm still looking at this being a wave 3, and then the wave 4 up and the wave 5 down still. And you know, anybody who's been watching this channel for the last few weeks and months basically was very well prepared for this drop, very well prepared. We talked about on the monthly chart here the indicators, which are absolutely, you know, they were great evidence that we are going to go lower. First time I talked about this in December when we had the monthly MACD crossover here that is very bearish. If you we looked at that in previous videos. We look at the futures market and the futures charts, which have a longer price history. Whenever we had a bearish crossover here on the monthly chart in the past, this usually did lead to another 60, 70, maybe even 80% drop of the price. And therefore, I was not surprised when it eventually happened. And then when we also dropped another, I don't know how much did we drop? Another 30, 40% from when it happened. I did warn you even before it happened that this would have those implications. Oh yeah, also we are now in the bearish range on the monthly on the RSI. No sign of recovery. If we look on the daily chart, here we are currently possibly finally putting in this bullish crossover on the daily on the MACD, but we're currently avoiding that, as you can see. But if that starts, that could be an indication, not evidence, but an indication that this wave 4 has finally started. If we come down further though, this idea of a bullish divergence, we already have the bullish divergence invalidated on the daily anyway, yeah, on the RSI, here on the 4 hour as well. So there was a bullish divergence here. Again, this is always only an indication, it's not evidence. So bullish divergence or any divergence means you need to watch, but it doesn't mean it will turn around, definitely. Therefore, price action is always key, and I will not use indicators to determine my Elliott wave patterns. It will always be the other way around. The indicators can confirm my count, and they might give confluence and confidence, but they will never tell me what wave count we're in. But yeah, so further downside probably expected, unless we finally can put in a higher high. I would want to see a break above the wedge here as a first indication that wave 4 is ongoing. In a wave 4 we could go possibly to around $5.10 as a maximum, but if we go above that level we have to assume the low was already in and we're starting a new bull run. But the way it's going at the moment, I don't see that yet. And due to the monthly MACD, we also need to be preparing. If we then come down, I mean, I don't know how, it depends on the wave 4 high, where we can set the target range for the wave 5. But depending on how we're moving in the wave 4, we might need to set that quite low. So I am still in the short term very bearish on Natgas, still watching if that wave 4 can finally start. And it might start when we hit the 297 level. No, was it 297 or 279? Let's just double check that. But then again, don't be surprised if it starts now. I mean, we've reached this long-term support area. It can start at any time, but the point I try to make here is, while I record this video, I cannot assume that it has already started. Of course, if something happens in a couple of hours, it could always start, right? Here at 279, 280, here is the 1.618 extension. If we now make another low below the intraday low here, or yesterday's low, then there's a good chance to get to that 280 level. Okay, and that's my update about Natgas. I hope you liked the update. If you did, please hit the like button, leave a comment and subscribe. And if you really like the content, then please check out the channel membership. Thanks a lot for watching. Bye bye.